right, good morning, Journey. How are we doing? We good? Excellent. My name is Justin. I'm one of the pastors here, and welcome. I see you in the back. I see you. Can you wave at me? Everybody like right here in the front's like, yeah. Anyway, hey, welcome here to Journey. If you're watching online this morning, welcome. We're glad that you're here. I don't know if you're in the mountains or West Virginia. I don't know where you may be. But also, if you are new to our Journey family, we also have another location. So let's welcome our Highlands Ranch location this morning. And Wade and Brandy, Ashton, it was so much fun to get to hang out with you guys and your whole church family for a couple weeks this summer. Thanks for all you do. I'm excited about what's next in this journey for the Highlands Ranch campus. So, by the way, if you are new here, when you walked in today, you would have received a note-taking outline. And at the bottom of that is something we called a Connect card, and we'd love to hear from you. Fill out as much information as you are comfortable with, and at the end of the service, if you want to drop that in the white bucket that passes at the end, you can. But it's a great opportunity for us to get to know you, answer any questions that you might have, etc. If you hadn't noticed, this is our summer of flexibility. There's a lot happening, and every single week, if you've been here for a few weeks, something new is happening all the time. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. Last week, we couldn't even open up one of these doors. It's weird, it happens, but thank you for your patience. If you haven't been patient, well, start getting patient. Anyway, it's our summer of flexibility, and we're really excited, though, because we have this thing called our grand opening happening on September the 10th, and it's going to be a huge day. Not only are we going to hopefully have everything done with this space and underneath as well, our new kids and student ministry area, but also we're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of our Highlands Ranch location. So this is going to be a monumental day, and we're calling that day Friend Day. And so what we would like for you to do is on your chairs, you would have received a postcard and also some invite cards, and we'd love for you to fill those out. If the postcard you can handwrite if you kind of like a little more old school, a little more personal touch. We'll even mail them for you. That's a good church right there. But there's a drop box in the lobby. Just drop it off at the end of the service. But with those invite cards, we would encourage you, invite your neighbors, invite your family members, invite strangers if you want. That's fine. And we want you to bring them here on September 10th. We know it's going to be an amazing day. Last week, we told you that we were going to go back to an 11 a.m. service time on the 10th. Nope, we're not. We're keeping it at 11:15. Don't ask me a bunch of questions. Just trust us this time. Trust us this time. That we're going to keep it at 11:15. It's going to be an absolutely incredible day. And speaking of inviting people, starting tomorrow for the next 6 days, we're going to do something called Prayer Week. We do this a couple of times throughout the year here at Journey. And here it's very simple. We encourage our church family to be praying for one another, praying for our neighbors and our family members, praying for our coworkers, etc. And it's not anything that's overly complicated. Basically, we just want to encourage you every day this week, spend a few minutes just praying for the people in your life. Not just for favor to bring them to church, but bigger than that. We want to see God do something in their lives. And we know a lot of people that are hurting. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of different circumstances. So every day this week, you're going to see on social media a different video just encouraging you to take a few minutes and to be praying. Speaking of prayer, let's pray. King Jesus, we thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity that we have to gather, not just here at Castle Pines, but also at Highlands Ranch, and if we're on vacation watching from a long way away. But God, we want to hear from you. And I want to invite you, if you want to pray this with me, this is something that we do every time that we gather for worship. Just want to encourage you by yourself, say, hey, God, speak to me. I know you have something to say, and I'm listening. And even right now, just whether you know that person or not, your neighbor, just ask God right now, God, will you speak life to that person next to me? I don't know what they're going through, but God, I know you have a word. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so we are in this series right now called The Comeback. And the idea is to get back to better. I mean, I think most of us would argue that there are times in our lives when life doesn't seem to be as good. Life doesn't seem to be as easy. Maybe our dreams aren't happening. Maybe we are struggling with life circumstances. Maybe there's some things happening in our lives. Ultimately, we know that life could be better. Well, this is also true in Jeremiah. And God is speaking to his people. He's speaking to a group of people that their lives have been basically turned upside down. They've been kicked out of their hometown. If you've ever moved and gone somewhere you are not comfortable with or familiar with, that's a scary environment. Well, God says this to his people in 29:11, and if you're new to church, you may never have heard this, but many of you know this verse. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. And man, those are good words, right? That God knows our future. He has a future for us. He has hope for us. He has plans for us. And sometimes when our lives are falling apart or when we don't feel like we're on the right path or we're on the wrong road and we may not know how to get back to better, sometimes our initial thoughts, our initial actions or reactions are just to leave or to quit, whatever situation or circumstance. But God says this, I have a future and I have a plan and I have a hope for you, but it may look a little or a lot different than you're expecting. You see, a few verses before this is what God says to his people who have been exiled. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of Israel, says to all the captives he has exiled to Babylon from Jerusalem. Build homes. Don't leave. Plant. Be rooted. And plan to stay. Plant gardens and eat the food that they produce. Marry and have children. Then find spouses for them so that you may have many grandchildren. Multiply so that you do not dwindle away. You see, we live in a microwave society, and the temptation is we want it now, we want it fast, we want it quick. I think I ordered something last night from Amazon. I was leaving my house literally at 5:30 this morning. There's a dude at my doorstep. My spidey senses were up. He just handed me a box, which that also may be, that doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, we want everything now, right? We want it fast, we want to go, we want to go, we want to go. But God is saying, man, sometimes this road to getting back to better is going to take some time. And you need to trust me in that. So we have a fun exercise for you we've been doing the last few weeks. If you look on your note card, it'll say something like this. And like I said, this is a time-traveling exercise, and you get to do this for free. You don't have to go to a movie. Anyway, my current age, just go ahead and write that down. You can make up a number if you want. Like today, I'm 35. I'm not, but that's what I'm going to do for right now, all right? But what is my age in 5 years? 27, right? Be real. Put your age. Nobody's looking. And what's your age going to be in 5 years? All right? I want you to think about what that's going to look like. And here's some of the things that we're thinking about. What is the trajectory of your life going to look like spiritually in 5 years? Are you going to go from nothing to something? Are you going to go from something to a little bit better? Who knows? What's your family going to look like in the next 5 years? In the next 5 weeks, my family's about to expand. That was a nice Colorado surprise. Hello. We're going to have 3 little dudes running around. It's going to be fun. But what's our family situation going to look like in 5 years? What are our friendships going to look like in the next 5 years? Physically, 5 years from now, what's it going to look like? I'm going to be the next Mr. Olympia. I'm not. Career. What's your career going to look like in the next 5 years? And also financially. We all have dreams. We have goals. We want to provide for our families, friends, etc., when necessary. But what is our life going to look like? What does our trajectory look like? Because all of us are on a path. All of us are on a road. And the decisions that we make, the behaviors that we have, the attitudes that we have, they are leading somewhere. That road is leading in a certain direction. We may hope that it's not, but that road is going somewhere. So what is the trajectory of your life? And we're asking this question, where is this road leading? So we've talked about having a better direction in our lives. Last week, Scotty talked about having better families. This idea is we're going this direction, but we want to come over here. So what is that thing going to getting back to better? What does a better family look like? Well, today we're going to talk actually about better friendships. But when we start thinking about where is this road leading, there's a verse in Psalm 25:4. If I can, show me the path, O Lord, the right path. Point out the road for me to follow. So we're going to talk about better friendships and what does that even look like? And I got to be honest, when I think about this, sometimes I can imagine people's perspective when we hear words like friendship, when we think about the relationships beyond our spouses in our lives. It seems very feeling oriented, right? Let me tell you a fun story. I'm in the 6th grade, not now, this is a long time ago. Just for clarity, I was living in New Braunfels, Texas. I was 11. I was whopping 4 foot 8 inches tall. It was great. Had a super deep voice. I didn't. But I remember I got invited to a girl named Summer's birthday party. I had this mad crush on her. She was 2 years older than me, so I go to this party. I'm in my roll-up blue jean shorts. Remember this? Nope. Okay, take the hit. All right. Also wearing this white San Antonio Spurs t-shirt. I was looking not like a boss like I thought I was. But I go to this party, and there's like 50 or 60 people at this party, and what I did the entire time was I swam in the pool, surrounded by people, and I was so lonely because I didn't know, other than Summer, I didn't know anyone. And maybe you've been in that environment. Maybe you just moved here from somewhere far away. Maybe you're visiting from somewhere far away. You're like, man, this is weird. America, whoa, right? Maybe something has happened in your life. Maybe people around you are no longer around. And so you have this overwhelming sense of loneliness. Here's an interesting definition of loneliness that I came across, but it's a subjective, unwelcome feeling of lack or loss of companionship. It happens when there is a mismatch between the quantity and the quality of the social relationships that we have and those that we want. Loneliness, it's a real thing. If you don't believe me, you should go Google sometime. I mean, watch out for that rabbit trail, but go Google sometimes statistics in America about loneliness. Did you know that over half of Americans in every single age group claim to be lonely? Over half of our population in every single age group, young to seasoned, feel lonely. But you see, this is not just an American or Western problem. This is something that is affecting the world. Several years ago in England, 68% of Brits said they felt lonely. It became such a big deal, I kid you not, they created a cabinet member called the Minister of Loneliness. What does that even mean? This is a big deal. Let me dive in a little bit deeper. In 2021, there was almost 50,000 people that committed suicide in America. 80% of those people were men. I was stunned. Because men, we always have things figured out. We're not lonely. We're good. That is a heartbreaking reality. But loneliness is a real thing. And it doesn't just affect our emotions. It doesn't just affect kind of how we feel in a moment. But here's also how it affects you. Did you know that when you have chronic loneliness, that it begins to rewire your brain? Yep, that's encouraging. Not only does it rewire your brain, but it can cause harmful inflammation to your body. Joints, etc. If you've got arthritis or gout, those are not fun, by the way. But the point is, harmful inflammation because of chronic loneliness. Also, did you know that it causes heart disease? It causes depression. It causes high blood pressure. It can be a leading cause for Alzheimer's. Also, forms of cancer. Did you know that loneliness, this epidemic, and that's what it's labeled by the Surgeon General of the United States, it is an epidemic of loneliness. It's costing America about $406 billion with a capital B dollars per year. Doctors, healthcare, treatment, therapy. It's a real thing. Loneliness is a real thing. How does this happen? Why does this happen? And I remember even asking our student pastors, Nathan and Micah here at Journey this past week, I was like, hey, you're pouring into the next generation. I used to be a youth pastor a few years ago. Life is a lot different now, right? People are still people. People are still selfish. We're mean, all those kind of fun, super awesome things. But there's some other societal pressures that are happening. And one of the greatest causes that these two guys told me about that causes loneliness, shockingly, is social media. Social media. The pressures, the anxieties, the constant trying to outdo somebody else that you see on social media, changing your appearance. I mean, you can be a 52-year-old and filter yourself so much that you look like you're 27 in a glamour shot. Like, that's weird, right? But that's the persona. That's the way we compare ourselves to other people. And we create these alternate realities online, and it's Instagram, and it's Facebook, and it's all these fill in the blank, Snapchat. It's all of these things, and we create these online personas that are not really who we are. Another thing that these guys told me about this week with young people is the fact that they're so used to social media and their social persona that they don't know how to communicate one-on-one with an actual human in the room. The interesting thing is this doesn't just affect young people. This affects big kids as well, right? Sometimes we're not real good with our words or eye contact. But there's so much social anxiety. There's such a lack of confidence that it really creates a huge barrier with us relationally, because the relationships that we often have online, we base on our Facebook followers. Are we an Insta influencer? I don't even really know what that means. And if you are, that's great. But who are you really affecting? Anyway, the point is, it's creating all sorts of fun things. Not fun at all. And loneliness is affecting all of us. There's also a complacency aspect as well. We become so overwhelmed by the social triggers and the social pressures that we just become complacent or lazy and we kind of give up. I want to tell you this, though. I do want to just say thank you to Micah and Nathan for the way that you're pouring into the next generation. Guys, I'm so proud of you. I'm honored to work alongside you, and I'm excited about how our church family is going to be different because of your effort to just be and pour in. So thank you for that. But church family, let me tell you something. Loneliness is a real thing. And let me tell you this, the antidote to loneliness, the answer, if you will, to loneliness is healthy friendships. It's healthy friendships. I know right now some of us are like, man, I got all the people in my life that I need. That's great. Many people do. But not everybody's in that category. In fact, again, more than 50% of Americans say, hey, I am lonely. So I want us to evaluate some things this morning, but I do want to encourage you with this. Friendship, it's not a want. It's a need. I mean, we want it, but it's way bigger than that. It's way more important than that. We want shelter, we need food, we need some water, right? Those are basic human principles. Guess what? Companionship, relationships, we need that. That is the way we were built. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's figure out, where in the world did this come from? Well, if we go back to the beginning in Genesis chapter 2, that if you're not familiar with this, Genesis is the first book in a collection of 66 books in the Bible, and this is where everything began. This is when God spoke life into the world. He created the mountains and the Grand Canyon and trees and all sorts of cool other stuff. He created animals, which I do, side note, I really don't understand why he created bats. I don't. We could probably go there on a number of things. I didn't say cats, so don't freak out. I said bats with a B, all right? I've got a great bat story. I can't tell you today because it's in church, but the point is that bat did not get back to better. But anyway, so the point is God creates all things, and he creates man. He creates the first man, Adam. He creates him out of the dust of the earth, and he gives him a name, and he gives him responsibilities, and he puts him in the garden. He says, man, I want you to tend to this garden, but don't eat of this one tree. We know the story. And then God brings all these animals, and Adam begins to name the various animals that God brings him. But then in verse 18, what does God say? Then the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him. So out of his rib, that would really hurt, he creates the first woman. That would also be a fun moment to watch because he could have used any pickup line he wanted and it would have worked, right? She had no options. Anyway, doesn't matter. So God creates this suitable helper. God creates for him a spouse. The first man and the first woman are coming together. But here's the thing. It's not just about a marriage. It's so much bigger than that. You see, God created this void in us, this need deep within us for companionship that goes beyond even our spouse. You see, friendship is not just a want, but friendship is a need. Food for thought, you don't get a good friend by chance. You don't get a good friendship, you build one. It takes time. It takes effort. You got to evaluate. You got to think about it. Andy Stanley says this. It's your friends that determine the direction and the quality of your life. The people in your life will determine your direction and the quality of that life. And so if you're wanting to get back to better, you know you're on the wrong path, whatever that means, and you're like, man, this is an area of my life I've got to get back to better, then you need to start evaluating who's in your life. And here's the thing, I think we need to start with the most important person on the planet, and that is Jesus. He is the Son of God, and he was fully man. Spent 33 years-ish on earth. The first 30, he's doing his thing. His last 3 was actually the years of ministry. And he calls a group of people to himself. He calls these 12 people we call the disciples, and he pours in, and he trains, and he loves, and he encourages, and he speaks life to these guys. But here's the thing. It went even deeper than the 12. He had a closer set of friends, the 3, Peter, James, and John. And here's the thing. Jesus had 3 years while he was here to change the world, and he used friendship to do it. Peter, James, and John. They went back, or they got back to better. They were on the right path, and our entire world looks a lot different because of the modeling and the leadership and the lifestyle that Jesus showed us. And the lives, not just of the 3, but also the 12, the 120, etc. You see, we have friends that may be on the fringe, or kind of they're acquaintances. Then we have some closer friends, but then we have those core friends, those people that are in our lives, in and out. They're speaking life. They're doing life with us. You get the idea. But Jesus modeled for us what friendship really looks like. So here's a question. What kind of friends do I need in my life? What kind of friends are in my life, but what are the ones that I need in my life? So I'm going to start with this question for you. What kind of friends are in your life? Well, Scotty loves to joke about how typically us men, our friends, if you will, are the spouses of our wives' friends, right? Oh, what's up? Yeah. You know, that's the depth of our friendship, right? Our wives have friends, and we become friends with their spouses. It's not a terrible thing, but you don't want that to only be the baseline, right? So what kind of friends do we have in our lives? I'm going to ask you 3 different kinds of friends. Do you have real friends in your life? What do you mean, Justin, by real friends? I mean, are there people in your life that just want to use you for something? Maybe you're wealthy. Maybe you got that mountain house, and so they're just waiting for you to be like, here's the keys. Here's the jet. That'd be awesome. Anyway, do you have friends in your life that are real? Or are they faking it because they just want something from you? They want to suck you dry. And young people, I want you to be thinking about this too. Who are the people that in your life? Students, do you have real friends in your life? Is there depth there, or is it just a charade? Another kind of question I want you to think about, or type of friend, is poisonous friends. Poisonous friends. Proverbs says this. By the way, there's a lot of great verses in Proverbs about healthy relationships. I have 10 seconds, so there we go. A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone that talks too much. We know those people. Man, they talk about everything, everyone, every situation, and they tell you, and you're the safest place for them. Guess what they're doing behind your back? They're probably doing the very same thing. Are your friends poisonous? Do they just speak venom? I don't know about you, I don't like getting stabbed in the back. Do you have poisonous friends in your life? Your friends determine who you are. And if you show me your friends, I bet I can show you what kind of life you live. Another question is, Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. You want to get back to better? You want to be on the right path? You want to see God just do some amazing things in the areas of relationships and friendships in your life? Don't hang out with fools. Don't hang out with gossips. Don't hang out with slanderers. Hang out with wise people. Or another question for you is, are you surrounded by faithful friends? People that are faithful. Proverbs says this, friends come and go, but a true friend sticks by you like family. Highest of highs, lowest of lows, your friends are there. That's the mark of a faithful friend. You see, friendships, they aren't built by chance. They're built by choice. The people that you and I let into the deepest circles of our life, we choose that. My kids right now, 5.5, 3.5, both started school, kindergarten, and preschool. They're both living their best life right now. But let me tell you something. For the next probably 30 years, I'm going to choose their friends for them. Right? Because I'm a loving dad. Don't hang out with that fool. Hang out with a wise person. Go in this direction. But yet when we become older, we stop using the filter. We stop using the grid by which we look at life. Hang out with wise people. And the question is, who are you letting into your life? Yes, we're going to have a lot of acquaintances, right? We're going to have coworkers. We have neighbors. We can't choose our neighbors unless you own the street. There's that. But the point is, most of us can't. Okay? We can't choose our coworkers. We don't choose who sits with us on the airplane if they're not family. We're going to have people in and out of our lives. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that are in the closest possible circle in your life. Who are you letting in and who are you keeping out? Proverbs 12:26. The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. Choose your friends wisely. This is written by a guy named Solomon who knew a thing or two. He was wealthy, he was famous, he had a lot of power. He lived a long life, and he saw it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he says, look, the righteous people that are trying to get back to better, they choose their friends wisely. So let me tell you some marks of a good friend. And we'll start in John 15:13. These are the words of Jesus. Pretty important. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. But you see, right before then, Jesus said this, my command is this, love one another the way that I have loved you. This is a big deal. Jesus did not only model this, but he preached about it constantly. He poured this into anybody that would listen. And now, thousands of years later, we're able to read the words of Jesus. He knows how to get us back to better. So here's some marks of a good friend. The first one is this, encourager. We need encouragers in our lives. Some of us are more natural with this. Some of us have that gift. Others of us are just mean. And I think that sometimes that's the excuse. Bro, I'm not nice. I'm just mean. And people just have to deal with it. Well, no, I would speak to you, encourage you to stop being mean. You know? I don't mean flattery. I don't mean the people that are just kissing up, the people that are trying to be nice just so they can get something. But I mean true encouragers in your life, the people that text you when you least expect it on a random Tuesday. Hey man, I'm thinking about you and I'm praying for you because I believe in you. You got a big project tomorrow? I know. You're going to crush it, meaning a good way, if you don't know what that means. But people that speak into your life, when you're around them, you're better. You want to be better. You feel better. You are better. You think better. Does that make sense? We need people that are going to encourage us in our lives. Next one is we need listeners in our lives. We need people that we can go to that will just listen. My wife can tell you I am terrible at this because she'll tell me something. I'm like, she's like, shut, don't talk. She's really kind about it. She's encouraging. But she's like, quit talking. I don't need or want you to fix it. I need you to listen. We need somebody that's going to listen. When we vent, when we explode, we need a safe place where they can listen, right? We need somebody that's available. That's a big one. I'm talking about the people that will drop whatever they're doing, even if it's the most important thing in their life, and they're available. I don't mean in like a stalkerish way, like they're right outside, just, oh, you rang? No, I just picked up my phone. Anyway, but that's just kind of creepy. But the point is, the people that are legitimately available, they know your needs, they know your wants, they know your struggles, they know what you're dealing with, and they're available to you. A good friend of mine once said, 10, 12 years ago, he's a very close friend, he said, look, if you want to make a difference, be present. Be present. Don't give a bunch of presents, just be present. Be available, be a listener. In fact, last year, about this time, almost 1 year ago, he and I are in Seward, Alaska. That's where my wife and I lived last year. And for 2 days, we're camping. It's beautiful. And we're just listening to one another. He's walking through some stuff. I was trying to figure out, God, what are you saying? Are we supposed to move? Are we supposed to stay? But he was available and he listened. It's a mark of a true friend. Somebody who's willing to challenge you. Mark of a true friend, somebody who's willing to call you out. They don't do it in a judgmental way. Hopefully it's not, they're not really mad and angry, but they just look at you and they say, hey, JT, something doesn't look right in your life. I don't think this is the right direction. In fact, you probably shouldn't have said that. Think about this. The people that are going to challenge you. Again, Jesus modeled this with his closest of friends. He encouraged them, he spoke life to them, but he also called them out when they were faithless or foolish. A true friend, they're going to be willing to stand up when nobody else will stand up and tell you the truth. a confidant, a safe, trustworthy person. We need them in our lives. And the last one, a mark of a true friend, faithful. Somebody that is faithful, somebody that's there, somebody that's around. And let me give you some action steps. We're almost done. All right? First one I'll tell you is be the friend that you want to have. I know this sounds weird, but the point is some of us, we just sit in our basements and we're like, man, I just want this kind of friend. I want that kind of friend, but you and I do nothing. Be the friend that you want to have. If you are those marks of a friend, you're an encourager, you're available, you're a listener, you're a challenger, all those things, you're going to have also those same people in your life. It may take time. And look, I know that there are people that deeply struggle with loneliness. And they don't know how to take that first step. They're like, Justin, you don't understand what I'm walking through. Understand how I'm wired. I'm just trying to encourage you this. Be the friend that you want to have. It may take time, but take that first step. Trust me in this. I've lived long enough to see some friends come and go, and I've seen the ones that stay by and the power and the impact that can bring. Another thing I would tell you is be intentional. Be intentional. Take that first step. My kids come back from school the other day. Hey, Dad, I don't know anyone. I don't have any friends. Well, son, did you talk to anybody? Nope. Use your words, right? Be intentional. Use your words. Even as big kids, you and I, let's use our words. Sometimes we need to look at the people. Some of you haven't even looked at the person sitting 3 inches away from you right now, and you're like, I can't, calling you out. Just look at them. Say hello. Whoa, huge word, hello, right? Don't be weird, but just, be intentional. Use your words. I try to tell my kids, even taking my oldest son Graham to kindergarten this week, I've told him these 3 things. It's kind of a new thing I've been trying to coach him with, but the first one is trust God. You're 5, but trust God. And I'm praying that speaks into him, right? This is the whole better family thing coming back, little recap. Trust God. Second thing is look people in the eye. Look people in the eye. And the third one is respect others. You know what I want my son to turn into as he keeps moving up in the world, socially and everything else? I want him to be a man that is known for his faith, a man that is known because he looks people in the eye, and a man that respects others, even if he doesn't understand or agree. We got to be intentional. Got to use our words. Another thing is hobbies. Hobbies can bring us together. If you're looking for an outlet, you're looking for meeting people and learning a skill or a craft, Jamie Heiner, man, he's like coming to the gym. I'm like, yeah, nope, I'm not the product environment of a gym. I'm not. I know that's shocking. I look like I work out all the time. I don't. I love bread. Anyway, the point is, and ranch dressing. But he loves to fly fish. So I'm like, hey, Jamie, can you teach a brother how to fly fish? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So he's going to take me and my boys and teach us how to fish. I have no idea how that's going to go. Point is, hobbies can bring us together. Sometimes you got to be intentional. You got to look around. You got to ask around. Be intentional. And here's some things here at Journey that we offer to try to help you find community. The first one is this, crash course. If you've been here for a while, maybe you've been through it, maybe you've heard us talk about it every single week, and the reason why is because there's a lot of people that are new to Colorado, they're new to Journey, and they don't know where to go. They don't know how to take that next step. Well, the first entry step of getting to know more about our church family is come to Crash Course. And one of the most beautiful aspects of Crash Course is you're sitting in these round tables, and everyone is on the same playing field. We all don't know anyone. It's a great place to start. Another thing, maybe join a serve team. Yeah, by the way, this isn't just a plug randomly, a shameless plug. This is like for real. Join a serve team. If you were to ask our kids ministry volunteers, our student ministry volunteers, if you were to ask our ushers and our greeters, etc., they would tell you that there's community that has been formed in many of these relationships in these areas of serving. There's a synergy there. There's something neat and powerful that kind of brings people together. Join a serve team. Those 2 things are great. But I would argue that the best place for you and I to find community, to find healthy relationships, to get back to better, if you will, is in a small group. Listen to this story from this couple about how when they found their group, everything changed.
We had been going to Journey since 2016. So about 3 years in, we decided we should find a group and meet some people that we could connect with and get to know.
And ironically, after our first night, even though it was her idea to come, she, even on the way home, said, this is not us, we're not coming back. So, I was forced to do it at first, and then I had to be the one to say, nah, give it a chance. Let's, one or two more times at least. And here we are 3 years later.
Having new friends to be honest with and put everything out there with no judgment, and that walk alongside with you has been huge for us.
This group really was the pivotal point in me getting and staying on the journey towards sobriety. And this group has grounded me enough to stay on that right path and given me people to, share life with and hold me accountable. So it's truly been a lifesaver.
They did not want to be leaders at all, co-leaders with us. And after continuing to push them and challenge them, they're able to do it. And now Austin's an absolute stud. He's does great leading discussion. He's very involved, and he's come out of a shell, I think is kind of what I would say. So I think that's really cool to see.
We do things. This is not just a small group. We share life together. We go on trips and we go camping, and it's been really awesome. It may be nerve-wracking. You may be scared.
I did not feel comfortable at first.
Yeah, she really didn't want to come back, and it can feel that way, but it can also blossom into something, just really spectacular. So
yeah,
I would just say have faith in the Lord and jump on board and see how it goes.
I love Katie and Austin's story. I love it because this is a real church for real people. And they were like, do we really want to do this? And she's like, we'll go once. And the husband's like, fine, right? And then after the first time, she's like, hey, I'm out. And he's like, no. He does the complete opposite of most of us guys. Most of us would be like, yep, she's out. I'm out too. I got to support my wife. But instead, he says, no, I think we need to keep going. And you heard a real story with a real family that was incredibly impacted by healthy relationships around them. So one of the most practical aspects you and I can experience by trying to get back to better is trusting God, but also having healthy relationships in our life. And if you're somebody that's new to Journey and you're like, hey, I want to find a group, I don't even know where to start. Well, check this out. Today, our groups page goes live as we have more signups and interest about our different groups. We kick off our next semester next month. And so you can go online to the website, find a group. There's interest groups for hikers and bikers and smokers, not the wrong kind, but meat, and or brisket. I definitely want to be in that group. Scotty talked about that last week. But bigger than that, there are groups where you can learn to do life together. Bethany and I, we just moved here in December, didn't really know many people outside of staff. And a group leader here invited us to join their group. And let me tell you something, even in 6 months, our text thread alone has been life-giving. Sometimes it's hilarious, maybe even inappropriate, but the point is, it's really good. Other times it's heartbreaking. Other times it's prayer, fill in the blank. But it has brought life to my family in a new place. If you have more questions about groups, there's tables at Highlands Ranch and here at Castle Pines in the lobby, upstairs and downstairs. If you're just curious, you have a lot of questions, you want to find out where to go from here, go out to that table, fill out some stuff, ask some questions, and group leaders will reach out to you over the next couple of weeks and help you find that place. Before we finish up, I want you to do something for me. On your Connect, or not your Connect card, but somewhere on your notes, I want you to write down the names of 3 people in your life. If you only have one, that's okay too. This is we're not testing anyone. But I want you to write down the 1 to 3 people that are the closest people in your life. And I want you to ask this question. You don't have to answer this right now. This is for later. What do they mean to you? Who are they to you? And the last part, I want you to write, who are you to them? What kind of friend are you to them? God built us for community, not as a want, but as a need. Let's get back to better. Let's surround ourselves with healthy people. And let's take people maybe who aren't healthy and bring them along so they can get back to better. Let's pray. King Jesus, I thank you for the way that you built us. I thank you for the fact that you created this need in us to be surrounded by people. We were not meant to live alone. And God, I know that the first place to start is with a relationship with you, Jesus. And if there's anybody here at Castle Pines or watching online or even at Highlands Ranch, you would say, man, I don't even know Jesus, but I'm ready. I want to know Jesus. Just say this prayer after me. Jesus, I believe that you're real. I believe that you love me. Forgive me of my rebellion. Forgive me of my selfishness, my brokenness. Save me. And God, I pray your blessing upon this Journey family. I pray your blessings upon the visitors here today as well. May we get back to better. May we trust you in this process. May we know that it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, but that you are the author of it. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.